Hello random YouTube people. In this video we're going to replace a screen for an iPhone 5. Subscribe! Now I doubt I'm going to get very many views of this seeing as it's 2023 and it's an iPhone 5, but hey, you might still have one like I do. We use ours for a baby sound machine at night, and the screen just started to peel off, so we're going to replace the screen today. This is my iPhone 5, and you can see that the adhesive just started to wear off there, and it just started to lift up. So we're going to show you the process of taking the screen apart. It's already starting to come off, and this doesn't look great, but let's fix it. We're going to start by undoing these screws at the bottom right by the lightning port. And in the kit that you get, it should come with a screwdriver to get to those screws. Here's the new screen. It comes this way from Amazon, and I will share a link down in the description. So we're gonna go ahead and open up this package. It comes bubble wrapped. These are all the tools and things you'll need. My screen's already been popped off, but you would use this to pry up the screen, and I will show you where you would do that. Here's that fancy screwdriver. And then here's the actual screen itself. And on here we've got some wet dry wipes. I do believe this kit comes with a screen protector as well. Yep, right here. So this is the actual screen protector for the screen. Here's the actual screen itself. And on it, it has just this little electrical unit here. These are the plugs for the screen. And they go in a specific order, as you can see. There's 1, 2, 3. And so they go on in order, of course. So let's go ahead and take the screen off the old phone, and I'll show you those ports and where they go. In the kit, you're gonna get 3 different screwdrivers, and 2 of them are typical Phillips head screws, and then there's one, which is this one. It's a star head. All right, you can kind of see, it's a star pattern. So that's the one we're gonna use to take the screws off by the lightning port down here. So there's 2 screws, one on each side, and we're just gonna undo those. You can see the screw is almost out. I can actually even just pull that out at this point. There we go. So that's the little screw. Don't lose this, it's really small. You can see how small it is compared to my finger. I can't even pick it up. There we go. Just move it off to the side, somewhere where you won't lose it. Make sure you keep that. And do the other side. You might not want to do this on your granite countertop because it's really easy to lose those in this design. But you do you. Now at this point, if your screen is still attached, mine peeled off, but if it's still attached, maybe you broke the screen, you're going to use this little piece here, and you can see that this is pretty small little edge there will allow you to push down into your device and start popping the screen up, and you would do that all the way until you get to this top part here, and then the screen will be free technically. In my case, you can still see the button here, but we're going to pry off this whole bottom part that we just undid the screws for. The kit that you get comes with a button. There are some of these screens that do not come with a button, and you have to replace the whole thing. I recommend you get one with the button in there. It's a lot less work. You don't have to replace the button. You don't have to replace the camera at the top. It already comes pre-assembled with all those things. So yeah, get one that already has a button, and you'll see on Amazon some that don't have a button. I'd recommend you get one that does. You can see on mine there's this little metal plate. And if I lift up the back of my screen that's already detached from my phone, let's see. You'll see that there's a little barcode looking, QR code looking thing on the back, where if you look at the replacement, it already comes with that metal shield on it to protect the LED screen. And so I'm going to need to take off that whole section, which includes this little metal frame right here. And I need to wedge, or use that little wedge piece to pry that up. Okay, I got that little wedge piece under, and you can see if I move my, this is hard to do with one hand. Oh my goodness. Maybe I need to go get my tripod. All right, trying this for my tripod now. I was able to get this wedge piece in the corner like this, and I pried up this edge, and I'm just going to follow it along with the wedge piece and just continually pry this. There's some metal piece you can see popping up. I'm just gonna keep prying this up like that until it becomes detached from both sides. I got one side done. Side 2. Get up underneath that. There we go. So now that the frame portion is out, you can get a better look at where these 3 pieces connect. So those screws are going to be for taking off these panels right here. And that reveals where these plugs are going in. So that's the thing we're going to want to note. It looks like one of the problems here with my screen coming apart, this battery's starting to like bulge. That battery probably needs to be replaced too. That's probably my problem. That's probably why it was pushing the screen up. So I might address that in a separate video, but for now we're going to take apart this little panel section with these 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, and we'll get to that point. I'm going to use the screwdrivers that were provided to undo these screws. Now these ones are going to be very small, so you're going to want to make sure that you don't go too fast and lose them. And here's my little screw. And I'm going to set that to the side, make sure that I don't lose it. All right, so next screw. And then the last. And I can already tell that these screws, if you lose them down these cracks, it's not going to be fun. So make sure you for sure go slow and pay attention to where your screw is. There we go. Now at this point you can use some of the other tools that were provided, like this little plastic piece, to start to pry this section up. Let me get that in there, that's what she said. All right, and that kind of just lifted off. So we'll pay attention to those little hinges when we go to put it back on later. And here is where all those electrical components connect. So we're gonna take them off slowly, one by one, using our little pry tool piece. So this one comes over here, and you can see I just put my tool in there and it pried off, and I've got one right here. All right, and then the last one kind of just lifted off. So 1, 2, 3. Now on this one you can see there's the camera assembly and everything right here, which matches the new screen right here. So we kind of just reversed that process. I'm not sure it's going to go very well for me with this huge pushed out battery. I probably need to replace that first. But it's actually not the screen that's the problem. It's the battery. I don't know if you can tell, but that should be flat. That battery was expanding and it's become 3-dimensional. Can you see that? And so that's what was pushing the screen up, because it started to detach from the center, and before it finally popped all the way off, it popped the adhesive off the screen, but not the actual frame of the screen. But look at that. See that bulge? That should be flat. When I try to push the screen down, it bulges in the center. Watch this, like, yeah, see it totally bulges in the center there. So it's never the screen that was the problem, it's the battery. I have taken the screen back off. I also used some tape to keep my screws together. Now comes the part of removing the battery. We're going to do the similar process as we did removing the screen up here to remove that plate. But there are bolts here, 1, 2, 3, and that comes off. Now at this point, we're going to get our little blue pry tool. We're going to pop this section off. Here's the first. You can see that this is the cord for the battery right there. And then we'll go ahead and take this one off as well. And that clips all the way up to here. We're just going to move that out of the way a little bit. And we're going to start to try to pry this up. These are glued in there. Take my little pry bar. pulling up. Yeah, it's pretty glued in there. You don't want to damage any of the electronics, of course. You see there's a little frame right here. Just trying to push up against that. Yeah, it's in there. Of course, this is not an Apple certified video, but you can see it says do not heat or crush or burn this battery here. So we're gonna try to get this off. I was gonna do a heat gun on the back here to kind of loosen the glue. Don't really wanna cause any issues. So I got myself this screwdriver that I have. It's a little metal one, and it's a little harder, not as flimsy as that blue. You can see that it's starting to peel that up off. And as you see inside, there's the glue right here. We're just trying to detach it from there. This little tab looks like it's going underneath the battery. It should help you pry that up off too, but it is pretty stuck in there. But I believe that's somewhat of the purpose for this, is that. Just trying to pry it up. Okay, there we go. Stuck it underneath there, just prying it up, and here we go. So that little tab is somewhat helpful. There we go. So I've removed that old battery. Let's get a look at the new one that came in the box and see what you're gonna get. Here's the battery that I bought, and mine is an iPhone 5. It's not an iPhone 5S. This says it's not compatible with iPhone 5S. Mine's just an iPhone 5, so we should be good. Now at this point in time in 2023, Apple has completely stopped any support for the iPhone 5 at all. So you're gonna have to go to places like Amazon to find these batteries. Of course, these batteries are not gonna be Apple certified, but if you really wanna hold on to your old iPhone 5, this is what you're gonna do. Here's everything that comes in the box. Similar to the screen, we've got a few pieces here. These little adhesive pieces. We've got the battery itself and some more screwdrivers and a little pry bar and one of these again, little corner piece pick tool. We've already picked off the battery with this stronger screwdriver, which made it really easy. So here's the new battery. You can see it has a new little connector piece at the bottom. Let's just compare these two batteries. This is the old one. Some of this is from peeling it off, of course, but you can see how much it has bulged. So it should have been flat like this. So look at that. That's the problem with these ion batteries, is they can explode like this. Let's figure out how to get this little metal piece off right here. Turns out it's not on there very well. So I just lifted it right back off. There's not even a little glue there. So just hang on to this little piece, set it aside, and then I'm going to dispose of this battery in the environmentally friendly way. All right, the reinstall. The kit comes with this little piece here, and it doesn't look like anything else that is in here. Even if I look at the back of the old battery, it gives me no indicators on what this piece right here is, but this is going to be the adhesive to hold the battery on. I'm going to spend some time removing this old adhesive if I can, these little strips here. Just going to try to clean up the inside, remove these strips right here. Alright, all the adhesive has been removed, and I think I'm just going to put the adhesive on top like this. There's a little electrical unit back here, and I'm guessing that that's maybe what this piece is for, is to cover that, but it really doesn't give any instructions on this, and the old one didn't have anything like that on the old battery, but I think that that's what I'm going to do. And then I could still use this to peel the battery off again in the future if I needed to. So let's get the adhesive cellophane piece off of here and get sticking it on there. And this peels apart like this. And I'm going to make sure that the bottom is flush there. Oh no, oh no. Oh, that's sticky. All right, putting the phone down, using two hands here. Hopefully that little bulge of The adhesive isn't gonna make my battery not sit flush and have my screen pull down on me, but here we go. And of course we're gonna take the new battery, not the old battery, the new battery, and start sticking it down here. But of course you need to make sure that this lines up with the little plug. You'll see on the bottom it's got little prongs, those are little sections, and those are going to click into this section here, just like it does for the screen. It just kind of pushes down and clips right into these little plugs right there. All right, I'm just gonna sit and press and hold this battery in there, my clip. Let's get that replugged in. There we go, did you hear that click? There's a definite click. Now comes the very hard part of putting these little metal panels back on. The one that looks like an L, if you will. Big little eyelet piece goes on the top, and then this part goes on the bottom. And you can see these little screw holes that they go to. And then this little rectangle piece has a beveled edge here on the bottom, and so that slides underneath this part, the little eyelet part. So it's gonna go back on like that. And now comes the painstaking process of trying to get these little teeny freaking screws in the right spot and get them twisted down. Just gonna try to do like a time lapse of this because it's not gonna be very easy. So speeding it up in 3, 2, 1. Alrighty everyone, all the screws are tightened. Now we're going to put the screen back on. So if we look at the screen again, this is going to be the first one that goes on, which is this one here. And then the second section that goes on is this one here, which goes here. And then the last one is this big one on the right, which goes to the side. All right, so with these little plastic clips, it makes it easier. I'm going to hold back these ones that I'm not using right now and expose this one. I'm going to clip it in right here. Click. You can feel it when it goes in. That's what she said. There you go. You probably heard that one. Alright, now we put the panel back on and insert the screws, just like we just did. And you got to make sure that the little hinge section is all connected. There's a little knock right there, and this little knock in the panel is going to line up with that. Oh, you hear that click? Awesome. So now we just have to get those screws back in. Alright, with the new battery installed and everything put back together, we're going to start clamping this back down, starting with the top. And you'll see these little edges will line up with something inside the track. It should just clip down pretty easy, but you're going to want to be very careful with this. If you press too hard, you can crack the screen. So just go very slowly. Oh, caught up right here. There we go, clicked in on that side. Alright, so down at the bottom is a little tight. I don't want to press too hard because I don't want to crack the screen. Just going to try to go around and make sure everything clicks in well. Once your screen is all pressed down and you think it's good, you can also just boot it up, make sure that it works. There we go. So the screen's on, which means the battery is working and the screen is working. And so we know that this is working great. We can test out that little home button first, let it boot up. Alright, so the phone is all booted up. I don't have much on here. We just use this as like a sound machine. We also use it as a camera. But now the last thing to do is just to insert those last screws. Now this aftermarket screen does sit up a little bit higher than I'd like, but hey, it's gonna work for us. So just testing out that home button, works great. So, like I said, I would recommend that you get the screen with the button already pre-installed. It's a lot easier. So let's go install those last screws and we're done. Now, if you remember, these ones require the star pattern screwdriver. So it looks like the screen lined up just fine with these holes. It's going in just fine. Now to find my last screw that I lost. Here we are. Oh no, it went inside. Ah! Doesn't help that my hands are like super sweaty right now. It's in the hundreds outside. And of course, the last thing to do is of course just take your screen off. The kit that I got came with a new screen protector. You can go ahead and install this, wipe off the screen, dry it, and then install the screen. I'm just going to do this in fast forward. And there you have it, new iPhone screen and battery installed on our old iPhone 5. Hope you liked this video, and thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe.